Hey guys, Will, or Lolio here, and today I'm showing you some Warlords of Draenor raid testing. This time it's of Gruul, the first boss of Blackrock Foundry. A lot of people probably remember Gruul from Burning Crusade, so I personally think it's really cool that we actually get to see him again here, and he does have a few similar abilities to the old fight, but it's definitely not a rehash. I know a lot of people like to hate on Blizzard whenever they reuse old bosses or old models, but it's definitely not the same here. Now, note that in the beta he is using his old model from BC, but it's stated very clearly on the model that this is just a placeholder. They're not going to end up using it in live servers, so don't worry about it. So we were doing this on heroic difficulty, which equates to normal on live servers, and for the purposes of testing we were all scaled to level 100 with an item level of 665, I believe it said. Now, due to the fact that the beta servers were very unstable during testing, we were all DCing left and right, we weren't able to get a lot of attempts on the fight, and our strategies weren't fully developed, but I just kind of want to give a brief overview of the fight based on what we could see during our attempts and what we read in the dungeon journal and things like that. So Gruul appears to be a pretty simple one-phase encounter. There's no adds to deal with, it's just a very simple kind of big brute boss like Patchwork or Genrock. It's not really too complicated. As for specific abilities, first off, Gruul deals increased damage as the fight goes on. An ability called Grond's Rage makes him deal increased damage the lower his health is. So this means towards the end of the fight, it'll probably get pretty hectic, and cooldowns will likely need to be up and ready at the end. My guess is Bloodlust will likely be saved until later on, as there isn't really any one ability that seems to warrant it. Like seemingly everything else in Warlords, Gruul has a frontal cone attack. Actually, he has 3 of them. The first, Overwhelming Blows, is the stacking tank debuff that we have on every encounter now, which also happens to hit anyone within 15 yards of the boss, so avoid standing in front of him. Now this is complicated by his second cleave called Inferno Slice, which deals high damage to the current tank, but also deals 800,000 damage, split evenly by anyone in front of it, and leaves a stacking debuff which increases damage taken by the ability by 8,000%. Basically, you really don't want to get hit by this ability twice in a row. His final cleaving ability is called Overhead Smash, which is just a big line in front of him that no one needs to stand in, and since he'll ideally be faced away from the raid, only the tank is going to have to move out for it. Gruul also uses an ability called Petrify, which deals damage and knocks a player back. When you're hit by this, it applies a debuff that causes you to shatter, dealing 40,000 damage to all players within 8 yards. Obviously, if you get the debuff, move out of the group. There are 2 other unavoidable AoE damage pulses called World Shaking and Ground Punch, which healers are going to need to watch out for. But early on in the fight, it didn't seem to do a lot of damage. My guess is towards the end of the fight, you're going to need to rotate cooldowns for them, like Diva Aura or Healing Die Totem. The strategy my group came up with to deal with Gruul was to split the raid into 2 groups, positioned in a triangle formation, with the current tank standing separately. We had the tank position him where he spawns, but facing the opposite direction. Whenever Gruul reached 100 energy and used Inferno Slice, the other tank would taunt the boss, so that the cleave would hit everyone in the first group, and then move back to the tanking position, while the other tank moved to the second group. Then, when Inferno Slice happened again, the tank would just taunt into the group, and then move back to the tanking spot. We weren't able to accurately test the strategy because we only had 1 tank. I attempted to turn him around into the groups, but due to overwhelming blows and the stacking debuff of Inferno Slice, I got one shot pretty quickly. But it seemed like this strategy would work in theory, and I know a few other groups were using it. Anyway, that concludes the testing. We weren't able to get a lot of experience on him or down him or anything like that due to the very limited testing window, but overall, Gruul looks like a pretty simple, fun boss, and I like that he has a couple of his abilities from the old fight. If you enjoyed the video or found it informative, please leave a like, subscribe for more, and thanks for watching.